Olivia Wilde, along with a lot of women in popular culture, despise not just ideological incels, but just literal incels in general, men who do not have sexual success with women. And the reality is that these men do need direction. They do. So Jordan Peterson recently broke down in an interview with Piers Morgan about Olivia Wilde's comments, calling him an incel. Let's watch.
You know, people have been after me for a long time because I've been speaking to disaffected young men. You know, what a terrible thing to do that is. I thought the marginalized were supposed to have a voice.
It's making you emotional, talk about that.
Well, God, you know, it's very difficult to understand how demoralized people are.
Now, you know, I've said multiple times on my channel, and I don't know how y'all feel about it, but I've said multiple times on my channel, as a man, it's very, 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 very important that you do not show emotional vulnerability on the internet, in public. It's very important that you do not do this. Now, some of you might say, well, Jordan Peterson is opening up a lane for men to be vulnerable and to show their emotions. But I'm telling you, it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. Feel however you want to feel about it. But I'm just saying that's just my opinion. That's just how I feel. Now, in regards to what Olivia Wilde said, right? She says this: we base that character on this insane man, Jordan Peterson, who is a pseudo-intellectual hero to the INCEL community. She said that disenfranchised, mostly white men who believe they are entitled to sex are the INCEL community. Now, here's some facts that a lot of people don't know, right? Incels are both an ideological thing and a literal thing. There are literal incels and there are ideological incels. Inceldom in men is going to become a more and more common thing as the years go by. Studies already show that, you know, almost half of men currently are sexless, haven't had sex, and are currently sexless. The rate of men that are virgins is steadily increasing by the day. And Jordan Peterson, of course, has never once supported or egged on people who hate women or people who want women to die or people who believe they're entitled to sex from women, but he has tried to become a role model for young men who are unable to gain relationships with women, unable to advance in romantic relationships, and is trying to give them some feeling of direction or purpose. And I feel like his tears took away from the comments that Olivia Wilde made. And the reason why I say that is this: Olivia Wilde, along with a lot of women in popular culture, despise not just ideological incels, but just literal incels in general, men who do not have sexual success with women. And the reality is that these men do need direction. They do. Because society doesn't function without the average man. And the average man is the one who's not getting any sex. The current focus, the current ideal man is a man with a successful social media account, maybe a baller, an influencer, football player, rapper, singer, some form of entertainment. That is the new ideal man in today's day and age. And women are passing up on the average man. Women are going to college, they're getting educated, they're killing the game, they're succeeding, they're thriving. Why should they settle for an average man when they're out competing the average man? Women have a point. Women have a point in that aspect. Why would they settle for an average man when they're out competing the average man? However, what that creates is a big part of the male population that's going to go their entire life without any intimacy, any sex, any relationships outside of, like, just absolutely zero relationship with a female in terms of romance. They're going to go their entire lives without this. And these men feel lonely, they feel disenfranchised, they feel unwanted. And it's not just white men, it's men of all races. And women have to understand that using incel as an insult doesn't really work. Like the majority of dudes in the next decade or two are going to be incels. I'm telling you. Like, I'm willing to bet money that half or a little over half of men are going to be incels in the near future. What are we going to do about this? Like, are we going to use the term incel as an insult? Are we going to belittle these men who aren't succeeding at relationships in life? Are we going to? Let's remove the crazies for a second, because Jordan Peterson isn't one of them. Let's actually argue in good faith. Let's not be bad faith here. Let's not make up shit. Let's not straw man. Jordan Peterson is not some woman-hating incel. In the video, in fact, he says women should be allowed to have high standards, even if it means that the majority of men will not have a shot at them.
Who are very picky, and good for them. Women, like, be picky. That's your gift, man. Demand high standards from your men. Fair enough.
So we know Jordan doesn't have a problem with women heightening their standards and leaving the majority of men sexless and relationship-less. Because that's what happens. When the majority of women say, I deserve 6 figures, 6 feet tall, 2-story home, I deserve all of that, he needs to have 2 cars, he needs to have all of this, he's saying, hey, look, do you? And I agree. Women are outcompeting men. How could I sit here and be upset with women? Women are going to college. Men are dropping out. Women are getting degrees. Men are dropping out. Women are getting paid. Women are getting this bread. Men are segueing away from the traditional pathway that society has led for them, which is not an inherently bad thing. But we got to take into account the fact that this means the majority of men are not going to meet women's standards. And as a result, the majority of men are going to be alone. Somebody has to give them some sort of purpose and direction. Somebody. And I applaud Jordan Peterson for saying, hey, if y'all want to call me the leader of the incels, fuck it. And we know he's not talking about the crazies, because in the video he said, I believe women should be allowed to raise their standards. And I agree too. I agree. Most of y'all niggas who are mad at women for being picky with their standards gotta understand, if you had a daughter, you wouldn't want her dating no bum. I'm telling you. You probably might not even want her dating an average man. You might not. If you were an uncle of a little girl that was your niece, you're going to be even more picky than her. How do y'all think the majority of men throughout history went sexless? You think it was because women were choosing? Women didn't even have rights for the majority of human history. Guess who was making all these niche and small and tight decisions for them on who they would marry? Their male relatives. So y'all gotta understand that we're at a weird position in society now where men are becoming more and more lonely and sexless, and women's opportunities are growing. And what we need to do as a society is not make it seem like it's a bad thing to, one, be a sexless man. It's going to happen in the majority of men's lives. It may not last forever. It may not last very long, but it will happen for the majority of men. And we got to make it normal, to be like normal for a man to say like, hey, look, I'm involuntarily celibate right now. Men should be comfortable and okay with saying, I am an involuntary celibate individual at this moment in time. Men should be allowed to say that. Men should be allowed to admit like, hey, I'm not getting pussy right now. Like, like that should be a thing men should be able to do. It shouldn't be a shaming tactic. And giving these young men leadership and direction also should not be something that we consider wrong. Women and the men that they admire should not be the only people in society that matter. Like, we got to keep in mind, LeBron James is not who's keeping the water running. LeBron James is not who's keeping the electricity running. Drake is not the one who built your TV and is hanging the TV up on your wall. Drake is not the one laying down the fucking sewage. Fucking, like, let's be honest. I don't want us as a society to demonize the average man who's not sexually successful, because more and more men that are doing these normal menial tasks are going to become sexless as the decades go on, as women thrive more and succeed in the white collar realm more. We're gonna see women become more and more picky, which is cool. But we gotta allow people to be a source of guidance and leadership for men who are disenfranchised and alone and without. That's gotta be an okay thing to do. So I don't like the fact that Jordan Peterson cried. Like, I think Jordan Peterson should have upped the blicky on these bitches. I feel like he should have turned up. But at the same time, I understand why he felt some type of way about that. But as men, we have to be able to navigate these situations, no matter how insulting they might be. And we have to be capable of addressing them in an emotionally controlled way. But, all in all, I applaud Jordan Peterson for being capable of saying, like, hey, look, it's not a fucking crime that I want these young men to have some sort of leadership and direction. I don't think Jordan Peterson has ever once said kill women because they don't fuck you. Never. So let's be honest. Let's argue in good faith. All in all, fuck with Jordan Peterson somewhat. Haven't watched too much of his content. Seen a little bit of his stuff every now and again. So a little bit, I fuck with him a little bit. But like, comment, subscribe.